Support us by subscribing, ring the notification bell, press all, and thumbs up, thank you. The Coast Guard Sector New York boarding team partners with Customs and Border Protection New York, boarded a high-interest vessel in the port of New York City. On average, the team boards 2 to 6 of these vessels per week. The United States Coast Guard is the coastal defense, search and rescue, and maritime law enforcement branch of the United States Armed Forces and one of the country's 7 uniformed services. The Coast Guard is a maritime, military, multi-mission service unique among the U.S. military branches, for having a maritime law enforcement mission with jurisdiction in both domestic and international waters, and a federal regulatory agency mission as part of its duties. It operates under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security during peacetime, and can be transferred to the U.S. Department of the Navy, by the U.S. President at any time, or by the U.S. Congress during times of war. Congressional authority transfers happened twice, in 1917, during World War I, and in 1941, during World War II. Created by the U.S. Congress on August 4, 1790, at the request of Alexander Hamilton as the Revenue Marine, it is the oldest continuous seagoing service of the United States. As Secretary of the Treasury, Hamilton headed the Revenue Marine, whose original purpose was collecting customs duties at U.S. seaports. By the 1860s, the service was known as the U.S. Revenue Cutter Service, and the term Revenue Marine gradually fell into disuse. The modern Coast Guard was formed by a merger of the U.S. Revenue Cutter Service and the U.S. Life-Saving Service on January 28, 1915, under the U.S. Department of the Treasury. As one of the country's 5 armed services, the Coast Guard has been involved in every U.S. war from 1790 to the Iraq War and the war in Afghanistan. In 2018 to 2019, the Coast Guard has 40,992 active duty employees, 7,000 reservists, 31,000 auxiliarists, and 8,577 full-time civilian employees, for a total workforce of 87,569. The Coast Guard maintains an extensive fleet of 243 coastal and ocean-going patrol ships, tenders, tugs, icebreakers, and 1,650 smaller boats, as well as an aviation division consisting of 201 helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft. While the U.S. Coast Guard is the smallest of the U.S. military service branches in terms of membership, the U.S. Coast Guard by itself was the world's 12th largest naval force in 2019. The Coast Guard operates 243 cutters, defined as any vessel more than 65 feet long, that has a permanently assigned crew and accommodations for the extended support of that crew. There are different types of cutter ships. There is the National Security Cutter, also known as the Legend class. These are the Coast Guard's latest class of 418-foot military defense maritime ship. At 418 feet, these are the largest USCG military cutters in active service. 1-for-1 Legend-class ships are replacing individually decommissioned 1960s Hamilton-class high-endurance cutters. A total of 8 were authorized and budgeted. As of 2015, 3 are in service, and 3 are under construction. In 2016, a 9th National Security Cutter was authorized by Congress. Also, the high-endurance cutter, the 378-foot Hamilton-class cutters, were commissioned in the late 1960s. Missions include law enforcement, search and rescue, and military defense. This aged class of 12 are being individually decommissioned and replaced on a 1-for-1 basis by the new Legend-class National Security Cutters. The Coast Guard also operates a variety of boats, about 1,650 boats, defined as any vessel less than 65 feet long, which generally operate near shore and on inland waterways. The Coast Guard operates approximately 201 fixed and rotary wing aircraft, from 24 Coast Guard air stations, throughout the contiguous United States, Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. Most of these air stations are tenant activities at civilian airports, several of which are former Air Force bases and naval air stations, although several are also independent military facilities. Coast Guard air stations are also located on active naval air stations, Air National Guard bases, and Army airfields. Fixed-wing aircraft operate from air stations on long-duration missions. Helicopters operate from air stations and can deploy on a number of different cutters. Helicopters can rescue people or intercept vessels smuggling migrants or narcotics. Since the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, the Coast Guard has developed a more prominent role in national security, and now has armed helicopters operating in high-risk areas for the purpose of maritime law enforcement and anti-terrorism. The Coast Guard is now developing an unmanned aerial vehicle program that will utilize the MQ-9 Reaper platform for Homeland Security and search/rescue operations. To support this endeavor, the Coast Guard has partnered with the Navy and U.S. Customs and Border Protection to study existing unmanned aerial system capabilities within their respective organizations. As these systems mature, research and operational experience gleaned from this joint effort will enable the Coast Guard to develop its own cutter and land-based UAS capabilities. A large cargo tanker like in the video, usually takes hours for the Coast Guard to search it and give it the go-ahead. Therefore, they obviously do not board or intercept every tanker but only the ones they deem they need to according to intelligence or routine. Rest assured that the U.S. Coast Guard is protecting America's coast no matter what. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell and remember, peace through strength.